You are listening to Peak One Sports.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sports Page on the Peak One Sports Network. I'm Ashton and Chris, here with me, Chris, Rob. What's going on, Chris?
Nothing much, man. How's it going?
Man, this heat was almost over, and now it's creeping back up there. We're supposed to go to Six Flags on Friday, so I think the high's like 111.
Oh man, they're gonna have to hope they got the mist. I'm sure they got the mist fans going. But
yeah, I haven't been to Six Flags in a while, so it might.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of places to go inside. I don't remember if I mentioned on the last episode, but we got these tickets via someone in our neighborhood who the park's like shut down for their company. And there's like free meals and water, everything else involved. So
I can endure that. I can do it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're gonna have to take our kids out of school for that day or whatever. But it's a good opportunity where, if we're there like a couple of hours and it's just too much, like it was all for free anyways. You know,
exactly.
We might spend some money here and there for games or whatever. I don't even know. But no, it's going to be good. I have an app that I've accidentally paid for a couple of years, a weather app on my phone that gives me like 15 days out, and I get it. That's the further out you are, the less accurate it is. And we've been watching that day for a while, and it looked like it might be a little rainy and like mid 90s, and it's just going up. And what's funny is that day, as of right now, the forecast, it's 111, then it drops to like 100, and then mid 90s the next day, and then the high is like 89 the rest of the week with some storms and stuff.
Worst,
so I'm like, come on.
That's how it always happens.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was like 95 degrees, I would take that in a heartbeat. I would think that would be perfect weather right now.
Yeah.
But, plenty of water. The lines shouldn't be terrible because I don't know what company this is. Probably a pretty big company if they're renting it out. But I can't imagine it being enough people to where the lines are going to be crazy. You ride a couple of rides, take a break,
Yeah. I haven't been to Six Flags in years. I remember the last time I went though, like people were waiting like 2-3 hours for the Titan, and I'm like, I just can't stand around for 2 hours and I'm not even like a huge roller coaster person either. So it was just like I'm waiting in line, and then I just already don't feel like getting on a roller coaster. I'm gonna just go get something to eat. So, but no, Six Flags is really fun. I've been a million times. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I've been. It was before I had kids, so over 10 years. Which would be fun. My kids have never been. It's just expensive to go and to park and do everything. And now my older one might ride the rides because I looked at the height requirements, and apparently he's tall enough to ride anything. And he rode, when we went to the water park, he rode all the scary slides and everything. So he might be riding. Yeah, he says he doesn't know. He'll wait to see. But worst case, we hang out in Looney Tune Land and ride the decent rides. So it's not a big deal. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to watch some. I haven't been to Six Flags in a long time either. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it's not too hot. But thank you for listening to this episode. Make sure to subscribe to the Peak One YouTube channel, comment, and hit that notification button so you get an alert every time a new episode drops. You can also listen to all of Peak One Sports shows however you listen to podcasts. And this episode is brought to you by Betalytics. The NFL season is here, kicking off tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about that in this episode. Be sure to not bet with your gut. Use Betalytics. The Betalytics dashboards allow you to quickly identify the top graded best bets and hottest trends. Use promo code PEAK1 for 25% off when you sign up today. Go to Betalytics.com to start betting smarter. Now, of course, we're, being a Dallas podcast, we're definitely going to talk about the Cowboys, what we think they're going to do, and then get some, as we've done the last couple of years, get some predictions on the season,
Right.
Super Bowl picks, all that good stuff with the season starting tomorrow. And man, I have to go back and listen to our last year's show. I don't even know if we were close on Super Bowl picks. I feel like I probably might have picked the Chiefs.
I think I had the Chiefs. Yeah. Oh no, I had Buffalo. I think
Yeah.
I had Buffalo going in last year. I can't remember who I had coming out the NFC. I probably had Dallas. I
Yeah.
thought it was the
I don't
year.
think I would have had Philadelphia.
Yeah, I didn't think I had Philly though. Yeah, but yeah, that's I'm excited. This is like the day. I feel like this day has been like a month away for the past 2 weeks, and now it's, you know, now it's finally here tomorrow. So I'm just so excited. I'm excited to place my prop bets, everything, just ready to go.
It seems like a lot of people are down on the Cowboys,
Hmm.
which is kind of good because that seems to be the years they do good is when you're down on them, and they do bad when
Hmm.
you expect a lot. Uh, I think most people do have them making it pretty far in the playoffs,
Yeah,
just because the NFC is so wide open.
yeah,
I mean, you have the 49ers, uh, but do they have a quarterback? I don't know what Brock Purdy's, what to expect from him this year. The same
mhm.
with the Eagles. I mean, I know Jalen Hurts threw out an MVP type season last year, but what's this, his fourth year?
I think it's fourth year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you take his first 2 years, we were like, this is a joke. I'm
Hmm.
happy that he re-signed with the Eagles and took
Hmm.
the extension. This is great. And then, and then he throws out a season like that. So I'm not sure what to expect from him this year. Uh, Probably more of the better season, but we'll see if he
Yeah.
kind of comes
I
back a
think he
little bit.
regresses. I think he regresses a little bit. Yeah.
I mean,
I hope so.
yeah, well, yeah, yeah,
Hope
for
so.
sure. As a Cowboys fan, I hope so.
Yeah.
But having such a great season, it wouldn't necessarily be being hard on him to say he's probably going to regress. That's just what happens when you have a great
Hmm.
season. You can't. It's very rare that you just keep going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
Um, Dak has obviously gotten a lot of slack for his league leading 13 interceptions or so last year.
Hmm.
Although he only played 12 games, 13 games,
Yeah.
something like that. So he said he's going to turn that around. Um, I I tend to believe that. I don't know what it was up with him last year. I know there were some that you really couldn't put on him. There were quite a few, but I mean, you can say that with every quarterback.
Hmm.
In the end, you could tell something was up with Dak, regardless, because he
Hmm.
was throwing interceptions. That's not stereotypical of Dak at all. He's traditionally
Yeah.
protected the ball. So the same way, the same. I'm taking the same stance I am with Jalen Hurts. Like, I don't know, because you've seen more bad than good for Jalen Hurts. And it's the same thing with Dak. You've seen more of him not being a
Yeah.
turnover machine than last year. So
Yeah.
um, with the full season, I have no reason to believe that Dak doesn't turn it around and lower
I
his
think so.
interception numbers.
Hmm.
But it is a concern though, because whatever was wrong, there was something wrong with him, whether it be uh, trying to get over the injury, uh, not getting back in the groove of things after missing some time,
Hmm.
or him just having the yips or whatever. I know a lot can go into it mentally too.
Hmm.
That is he over it yet? We don't know because he didn't have a great game against San Francisco in the playoffs.
Hmm.
Um, he had an awesome game against Tampa Bay in the first round. We thought he was back. We thought, okay, he's over whatever.
Yeah.
Even going back to the last game of the year, regular season last year against Washington, where he just played terribly. So it's sticking there in the back of my head. I'm kind of worried what Dak we're gonna see.
Yeah. I think it'll be more of the on the positive side. I just don't see him having two seasons like that where, he leads the league in interceptions, or, whatever time span he played, he had the most interceptions in the league. Um, I I'm leaning towards them. Obviously I feel like they'll make the playoffs. I had them going 12-5. It's just that first game, it's the first, well, technically the division divisional round.
Yeah.
And they always seem to play the team that has their number, like San Francisco or just teams like that where they just traditionally, well, recently, as of recently rather, just have had Dallas's number, and they just match up well. And I'm just kind of afraid of one of those instances. The NFC is just so wide open, like it was last year. That I feel like last year was a great opportunity for them. Like the Eagles made a run at and made the Super Bowl. So, and I didn't think the Eagles were. I think the Cowboys matched up really well with the Eagles. They always do. So, um, you know, it's up in the air for me. It's always a wait and see come playoff time. I think Dak will have a bounce back year though, as far as not having so many turnovers, and I think he'll be like kind of like a fringe MVP candidate where he maybe like in a discussion like you name the first three and they're like, oh, Dak's having a pretty solid year too, like better than last year. So we'll see. Hopefully that's what happens.
I mean, we all know Dak has the talent to be that. I mean, he's so up and down that most rankings, legitimate rankings, unbiased, have him anywhere from the sixth best QB to 12, 13. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On a bad time. And if the Cowboys do what they're supposed to do, they're probably the third best team in the NFC. If they're having a good year, winning a lot of games, and Dak is playing pretty good, he'll be in those MVP conversations just like any quarterback with a team that's winning a lot of games, just by default. But yeah, he definitely has the talent. It's there, and something that obviously a lot of Cowboys fans don't want Dak anymore. They say, "Oh, look, we have Trey Lance now," which. What has Trey Lance done besides get picked number 2 overall? Since he's been in the league, he hadn't done anything to. And again, I don't know what Jerry Jones' thinking is there, because Dak isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and he's not old either. He's relatively young still. So
yeah, whether you like it or not, if you don't like Dak, he's not going anywhere. He can't. He has an expiring contract in a couple of years where his cap hit next year is like $57 million. They have to extend him. You can't just let him go. Mm-hmm. Like you can't just get rid of him. You're not going to be able to trade him with that contract, especially with what he did last year. You're obviously having a career worst year.
Yeah. And no quarterback that is above him. Their teams aren't looking to trade them as well. So because Pat Mahomes isn't going anywhere, Josh Allen, the Eagles aren't trading Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow staying. They're not getting he's the best option at this particular point. You're not going to trade up to get a better quarterback unless you just happen to just draft one. But that contract is there. They have to do something.
Yeah, and right now it is the time. You're talking about Dak, whether he's good or not, whatever, but he's the 4th best quarterback in the NFC, if not better. He's no worse than the 4th best. Just because it's a weak quarterback league, past Jalen Hurts, you can throw. I mean, if you're throwing Kirk Cousins in there, that tells you everything you need to know. Brock Purdy, I don't know. I just haven't seen enough from him. Yes, he wins games, but he's also on a really good 49ers team. That 49ers have the best roster in the league outside of a quarterback.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if Dak can turn it around this year and get back on track to his normal self. Jerry Jones in a recent interview talked about Dak being a Cowboy for a long time. To be fair, Jerry Jones says that about a lot of players that he wants.
A lot of players, yeah.
He'll say Jason.
I think he said that about Zeke at one point.
Yeah, he said it about Des Bryant when they signed to a 7-year contract, and 3 years later, he was gone.
Got him up out of there, yeah.
But Dak is going to be a quarterback for a while, unless you just want to. If you say, okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off, okay, you're not going to be able to do anything for 3 more years.
Yeah.
With that cap hit. And then by then, let's say Trey Lance does turn out to be a really good quarterback, you have to turn around and pay him. So I'm not saying Dak is your quarterback because he's great or whatever. I'm a Dak fan. I think given this roster, Dak can win a Super Bowl with this roster.
Yeah, I think he can win a Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to play his game. He's not going to be the guy to take over this team. It's definitely going to be a defensive team. We'll see how the offensive line holds out. I mean, you have Tyler Smith right now dealing with a nagging injury. Mike McCarthy said yesterday he had a plan for Tyler Smith and Sam Williams on the defensive side. They're both hurt, but that they plan on having them practice later this week to get them ready for Sunday Night Football. You know, of course, Tyler Smith suffered a strained hamstring on Monday, and Sam Williams is dealing with a toe injury.
Man.
But yeah, the goal is to have them practicing by the end of the week, and then they can go into. I think it's on the road, right?
Yeah, they play New York on the road. Yeah.
In New York, or East Rutherford, New Jersey, however you want to.
Yeah.
However you want to say it. Okay, let's go do some over-unders on some Cowboys numbers this season. Right now, I realize other entities might have these numbers differently. These are just the numbers I found. Cowboys win total 9.5.
I think over.
Yeah.
I feel like relatively easy. I don't see them lose. I don't see them unless they just a whole nother sport, but like collapse like the Rangers. I think
You had to bring them up. I was like, man, we have the NFL coming up. We're not gonna have to even talk about the Rangers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my bad, but yeah,
no, yeah,
man. I see them winning 10+ games. I would bet on that for sure. Yeah, so over.
Yeah, I'll take the over as well. 9.5 just seems so low. They seem like they have a better roster than last year, or at least as good. They bringing a lot of players back. They've had some injuries. It just depends what kind of Dak we're going to see. But they go from back-to-back 12-win seasons. Unless the Giants just show that last year wasn't a fluke and Washington improves and then Philly is just as dominant, because a lot of their wins are coming from this NFC East division. They went 4-2 last year. They went 6-0 the year before. A lot of that say, but I think they have 11 wins this year.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott touchdowns 23.5.
Over. I feel like that's kind of low.
That is low. They've got to be expecting Dak to miss some games. I mean,
are they just maybe just assuming that he'll,
or he's just bad and he gets benched? I don't know. I've had some
23. That's like,
I've had some people again. I have to look at the source I got this from, but I mean, it was a legitimate game.
No, yeah, I actually, I saw that. I forgot what website I saw it on, but I saw it maybe like a week or two ago, and it was something like that. It was, I think theirs had them at like 24.5 or something. I'm not sure.
I know. I mean, this was a gambling website I got it from. I know anybody can come up with their numbers. We can come up with our own over/under numbers. Just make them up too. But no, it was from a prop bet website. Not Betalytics. Don't worry about that. Betalytics is on it. But yeah, they've got to be expecting him to miss some games. If you go by the trend, he hasn't played every game in the last 3 years. One was a freak ankle accident. I don't think Dak is injury prone, because the ankle thing, anybody in that situation would have broke their ankle. Right. That a couple of years ago when he missed one game for, I guess it was his calf injury. That kind of gets you worried, just having little injuries like that. And then last year he broke his thumb. Off the defender's helmet. So maybe they're expecting him to miss some time. I'm not sure. If at any point Dak Prescott gets benched, it's bad for the Cowboys. Even if he's playing bad and they're still winning, I don't see them making that kind of.
They wouldn't do that, no.
Yeah, unless Trey Lance is just having great practices or whatever. I can't imagine it. Dak Prescott interceptions, I know everyone's looking at this, 12.5.
I'm going to go under. but like barely. So I would say like 11 or 12. I don't want to say 13. So I'll probably say like
He
12 or
he had
11. I would say
13 and a
under.
half last year. Of course, he missed 5 games. I think 5 games, 4 or 5 games. So if he plays a full season, 12 isn't bad. If he throws 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, that's not a
It's a
terrible
good season,
season.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll go under as well. I think he's going to be around 10 interceptions. That
Hmm.
seems to be his average
Yeah.
playing in
That's
17
pretty
games.
reasonable too. Like, just you got to throw in like just a lot of factors, bad games, tip balls,
Yeah.
everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, assuming he doesn't miss any time, he plays all 17 games. I think he's somewhere around 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, somewhere about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Micah Parsons sack total, 13 and a half over under. That's a pretty high sack total for an over under.
Yeah. I'm gonna say slightly under.
Okay.
Only because I feel like he's gonna get keyed on a lot more this year.
You have
He's
that, and
at first,
Overshone
yeah,
got hurt. So you have that middle linebacker, less
yeah,
depth. So he might be
yeah.
pushed back a little bit.
Hmm.
Last year was 13 and a half sacks. The year before was 13. So it's par for the course.
Or he could, yeah, or he could just like just eclipse that entirely and get like 16. So I don't,
Yeah.
you never know. Like
He's
he's that
definitely
great of a player.
capable.
Yeah, he's that great of a player. So I'm gonna say under for now.
I'm going to say right on the money. I know over unders are kind of designed not to do that, but he had 13 and a half
Push.
last year. I think he
Yeah.
gets about 13 and a half. All
Yeah.
right. Who wins the NFC East?
I'm gonna say Dallas. I'm gonna say Dallas. I feel like it'll come to those. I feel like it always comes down to like the last few weeks. I think it's gonna be one of those things. One of their last matchups with Philly that kind of determines it. But it's gonna be a good race between Philly and Dallas. I have them winning it though.
Yeah. Outside, I mean, even last year they had injuries, both teams, and they still ended up splitting.
Hmm.
Um, that seems to be the trend. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Dallas obviously swept them 2 years ago because they swept the whole NFC East.
Hmm.
But I think most years they end up splitting with
Yeah,
Philly.
splitting with the Eagles, yeah, and then
And
they
it's usually
usually
when Dak doesn't play. I mean, because Dak's it's like 24-6 against the NFC East.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Pretty
yeah. Something
ridiculous
crazy, yeah.
numbers. But
Yes.
yeah, I think they'll split. And again, outside of any injury, anything weird going on, um, I like to say the Cowboys. They definitely have the talent to do it.
They do.
It's the Eagles' division to lose, but
Hmm.
uh, with Dak doing so good against the NFC East, I think they're probably going to go 4-2 this year again. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, he's won like
That's a good.
eight.
That's good though. That's I would take that
Yeah,
because
he's winning like I think
yeah.
he's won 8 straight against the Giants right now. Maybe not, maybe
Hmm.
6 straight.
Yeah.
But you split with Philly and you just try to keep up with them. Either
Hmm.
way, I think they win 11 games, like I mentioned earlier,
Hmm.
um, and at worst get a playoff. So I don't think 11 games will win you the division. That's why I don't want to just throw it out there. Yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to win when I pick them winning
Hmm.
11. That would assume that Philadelphia is not going to win
It
that
was like
much.
9 and 8, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I expect Philly to
I
win
see.
about 13.
Hmm.
Cowboys to win 11, but be in there. But the Cowboys are definitely capable of going up there and winning 12, 13 games. Um, and yeah, I just I go down the Eagles schedule, and it's hard to find 5 losses in there, 4 or 5 losses, unless the Cowboys can sweep them or something, or if
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts just isn't what he
Yeah.
was
I'm gonna look
last
at their
year.
schedule really fast. Yeah, because they have the AFC East this year, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have the AFC East. So
which is going to be pretty. I mean,
I mean, you have the Dolphins. The Jets aren't. The Jets are gonna be pretty good.
you have 4 solid games there. I think
They play the Chiefs.
honestly, I think Buffalo is taking a step back.
Yeah,
I don't feel that they're dominant anymore, but I mean, New England might be the worst team in that division.
yeah,
But
they're probably fine.
none of those games are going to be easy wins.
Yeah, especially with you know, Aaron Rodgers going over there. You have the Dolphins are. I actually love the Dolphins team. They're
Yeah.
They're really good. And then Who else? Buffalo. It just feels like they missed their window. I think. I think it was like a 2-year run where they just that was their time and they just couldn't capitalize. They couldn't get over the Pat Mahomes hump, and it was just I like Buffalo. I love what they have or had rather.
And the issues with Diggs,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's holding out or anything. I know they're threatening that, but it's obviously not a great situation.
Yeah.
What's your Super Bowl matchup?
Chiefs, and then I couldn't pick an NFC. I'm torn. Who'd you have in the NFC coming out?
I had the 49ers. Hopefully, if that happens, it's not through Dallas.
Yeah, I'm torn. If I feel like that's just how it's written. If the 49ers make it there,
I could see the Cowboys doing it. But outside of the Cowboys, Philadelphia and San Francisco, I mean, who else?
Yeah, because the Vikings, no. Nobody from the NFC West except for San Fran. Yeah. I was torn. I didn't want to be a homer and say Cowboys, but I feel like they can.
Yeah.
I feel like that every year. I feel like they always have the talent to do it. It's just always something, whether Tyron Smith gets hurt or Dak misses 3 games, or it's always something. I just like the additions they made. Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore. Those are two big pickups, and I don't know. I just hope they capitalize. But 49ers, that's a great pick.
Yeah, and I have Cincinnati. It's the AFC pick.
Mm-hmm. That's a good pick too. Yeah,
Cincinnati beating San Francisco in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you watched, when did we talk about it? The leadoff this past week, Cole was on. We were talking about our fantasy football league, which you are definitely in.
Yeah.
And doing champions and bet payoffs and all that. Cole's the commissioner, so he said he's going to get some sort of like crown for the winner, and he'll ship it to whoever wins.
That's dope.
And I talked about I would be on his show a lot wearing it, or if he came on our show, I would be wearing it. And then bet payoffs, he said it just depends who it is. Because there's 3 of them in California. And because we were talking about it, it's basically 5 a.m. for him on Saturday when we do our show. And he's actually going to be on the leadoff this weekend too. Just shout out to Cole. But if one of the California guys get last place, that they have to be on the leadoff every day for a month and wake up early. Man. That wouldn't even matter to you. I mean, you'd have to wake up early because it'd be 7 o'clock, but you're Central Time Zone.
Yeah.
But definitely keep those ideas for
sure. Yeah, I'm definitely
for last place bet payoffs.
Got you. Yep.
Champions, all that good stuff. Because we're gonna call them. I can't remember what he said we were gonna call them. King Champion of Fantasy Football or something for the whole year for the network, because everybody in that league's on one of our shows. Well, guys, thanks for tuning into this episode. Be sure to follow us, follow us and like all of our social media platforms. Subscribe, and enjoy football. Enjoy the NFL. It's back tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes,
sir. We're not going to have another Sunday until February without NFL football.
Beautiful.
I'm Ashton. We'll see you next time.
All right, I'm Chris. See you guys.